Welcome to the Oaks Podcast. I'm your host, Travis Hall, alongside my wife and co-host, Ingrid.
On this podcast, we talk about all things real estate, entrepreneurship, business, faith, family, you name it, we talk about it, and how we do it all as an equally yoked husband and wife team.
We are glad you're here. Thanks for listening. Enjoy this week's episode. What's up, and welcome to the Oak Podcast. I'm excited today. We have an amazing couple. As always, I'm Travis, this is Ingrid, and we have Clint and Jesse Savoy, who we've teased for a couple weeks, but they are here live. They are in Knippa, Texas. We are up here in Coeur d'Alene.
Where is Knippa, Texas,
somewhere
you guys?
deep in the heart of Texas. And they are amazing. We have gotten to know them through Owners Club, and you guys are amazing. You're just an incredible couple. It's been fun getting to know you guys, and you're doing some really cool stuff. Not only are you guys married and you're partners in multiple businesses, farming, real estate, co-living, all the things, capital raising a little bit. You also live in a tiny town and are doing real estate in a tiny town. And
with your family.
Yeah, with your family. And so it's just, you're a perfect blend of a couple that should come on and share your words of wisdom with all of us. So what did I miss, babe? Excuse me.
No, that's perfect. I mean, if you guys want to tell us and the audience what we missed, a little bit about your story and how you met and then how you got to Knippa.
Right. So I'll take the lead on this one. So we are, let's see, I'm born and raised from Knippa, Texas. I'm a fourth generation. Our children are the fifth generation here to grow up in our hometown. We live on our family farm that we've had this year, 100 years in our family. And I went to the nearest college I could go to get my pharmacist degree. And I met an engineer at the Kingsville College, and we've been married 15 years now. We spent a little time in Laredo, Texas, where nobody visits you. And so then we went to San Antonio, Texas for 8 years. And then when we had our two children, who are now 7 and 10, two girls, we wanted them to get to go to the school in Knippa, just like I did, my dad did, my grandma did, my great grandma did. We go way, way back, and it's an excellent school. So, knowing that we were coming back here, my dream was always to move onto the family farm, and I wouldn't have married somebody who didn't align with that dream, and he was all about it. The plan was to come here and renovate my great-grandparents' farmhouse that we're in today. And we started that journey in 2019 while we were still living in San Antonio. And then in 2022, I believe, or 21, somewhere around there, we moved to Knippa, got our kids in school, and then we bought our first bit of real estate with the money we sold our home for. And the trajectory just went in a whole different direction. I kind of quit my pharmacy job, and I phased out of it, and this is all I do full time now. And Clint is still an engineer in the oil and gas industry.
That's amazing.
I know.
I'm curious real quick on your kids, because I didn't know all the details of that story. With your kids, when you moved, how was that for them, moving from San Antonio to Knippa? Obviously, they knew it was going to come and happening, but how was that process?
How was it actually?
Yeah, nobody's ever asked us that. Our oldest, she's the more emotional, sentimental type. She still struggles with it to this day. She likes to look up the Zillow listing of our house because our kids were born and raised in that house. And I guess she was only 5 when we moved, but it was a beautiful home. It was a big 2,400 square foot house that we had just poured our hearts into. And so moving into this more of a construction half the time on a farm, totally different lifestyle than living in the city. She has still struggled with it, but I know she sees all the benefits of living out on the farm, and she loves it. She's a free spirit. Our other daughter doesn't really remember, so this is all she really knows. She was 3 at the time. So, but it was also not just the move, but transitioning into public school. That was very difficult for her.
Where were they before?
They had done some daycare.
The Montessori school.
Yeah, they were in a Montessori school in San Antonio. So there was some structure that they were used to, but Knippa is a very tough school. Even though it's a public school, it's a very tough school, and you get homework starting with pre-K. So they have high standards, and yeah, so it was a struggle. It was a struggle for me, but we made it through. We're about discipline and pushing through and doing the hard path, so it's all right.
So good for them, though.
We're on the other end of that now. We've got a handle on it.
What about you, Clint? I mean, what brought you? I mean, yeah, a little bit of your backstory, but also how'd she rope you into farming?
Well, I grew up in a real similar sized town. We were, sub 1,000 people, same size high school and stuff. But so I'm all for living in a rural community. It was kind of cool growing up, knowing everybody. Half the town went to the same church, and you kind of get a real good community vibe. Growing up that way, and then hearing that was Jesse's path, and I didn't really have any path after college, and so um, we both just kind of molded our careers in a path that we could end up living out here. And so that was kind of our trajectory for a while until we discovered real estate. Now it's just completely changed. I mean, yeah, we're here, but that was kind of our goal.
Having that vision from the start, we always knew we were going to work it out some way, shape, or form to get ourselves here, to raise our kids here. So that helped, like he said, mold our career path. We chose jobs that he could live anywhere but work, go and work on the job site. And I chose pharmacy early on before I even knew him, because I wanted a job that I could make a good living and live in anywhere I wanted. Well, specifically here. There will always be a need. So.
Okay, where'd you take her on your first date, Clint?
Good question.
So we went to the nearest biggest town was Corpus Christi. And so we went to just a regular restaurant in Corpus.
And it was a nice restaurant. It was a boat on the water, Landry's on the water. It was nice.
So we went there. It was about a 45-minute drive to get out there. Had our dinner date. And because it was such a long drive, I was just going to take her back to Kingsville. And as soon as we got in the car, she turned to me and said, okay, what are we going to do? And I had nothing else to do.
He was like, huh?
Yeah.
What?
And so ended up pulling a trick out of a hat, and we went and kind of walked around an old historic neighborhood in town. Did that for a little while.
Yeah,
Rose
they
Gardens
moved all the historic towns, or all the historic houses in Corpus. They put them all in this central park, and it was around Christmas time, so they're all lit up with Christmas lights. So we just toured this park of old homes, which we both love old houses. So it was very romantic.
It worked out.
Oh, Clint.
Yeah.
You pulled a trick out of your hat.
So what, your first date revolved around dinner and real estate, and then
pretty much.
forward.
Who would have thought?
Pretty much. And then 2 years later, that's where he took us back to, and he proposed to me there at that park. Had completely no idea. He's not a very big romantic guy, but he nailed it.
I love it.
Well,
okay,
yeah.
so I'm hearing you. I mean, the move to Knippa back there was obviously very intentional to raise your family, but the real estate aspect of your careers, I mean, is you stumbled into. I would love to hear how that started. Take us through that journey.
Let you start.
Yeah, so kind of like we mentioned, our goal was to end up here. And so we were on a path, doing traditional saving in a 401k and going to retire at a certain age, and going through our financial advisor, working all that stuff out. And we had a trajectory that we were on. But the weird part is like, this was our final goal, was to move here and to raise our kids here. That's as far as we had planned. Well, we had gotten there by the time before we were 40. And so we're like, okay, that's kind of weird. Well, I guess we'll just cruise control through this and just retire early. And it all kind of stemmed from us rehabbing this house. Being on a family farm that's been in the family for 100 years, I didn't want to have to redo this house in another 20 or 30 years. So it was, we're going to do it once, we're going to do it right, and we're going to not have to do this ever again. And so we kind of got real deep into not just how to do a remodel, but how to do it super energy efficient, very well built structurally, and kind of went, what am I trying to say?
Yeah,
we kind of went off the deep end.
Him being an engineer, overanalyzed, researched, studied everything, the latest and greatest products on air sealing and low E and all the engineering stuff. So he went full into just, that was his passion. I mean, he'd be like watching builder trend videos or build.com videos to go to sleep at night. Like I was just learning it all from him. So, but we did this house pretty much, except for the electrical and the HVAC, we did everything ourselves. We learned how to do
standing seam metal roof.
Yeah, we did the standing seam metal roof ourselves. We insulated ourselves. We did the weather resistant barrier. We did like a rain screen, and now we're rocking it ourselves with the river rock here on our local river.
Wow.
It's still
So
not
cool.
done, but living on a farm, nothing's ever done. So.
Okay, so then you get the bug because you're like, this is kind of fun. And you've acquired all these skills of like, yeah, this is the best way to do it. And so then what?
Exactly. So yeah, and like Clint was saying, our goal was just to, like get married, save up, retire as soon as we can, have kids, move to Knippa, and that was it. And we did the Dave Ramsey plan. So the year we got pregnant with our first child was the year we went debt free. Like we paid off our house, our vehicles, we had no debt. And so it was just like we met all of our goals. And then when it was time to move here, which was the final goal, we had a debt-free home. So we sold our home, and that was when there was a big boom. Everybody was moving to Texas and Florida and things. So we sold our home for a really good price. And it was like, okay, well, we've always wanted to be landlords. Let's buy our first piece of real estate with that money. And so we did. And that really, that's when I went off the deep end. He went off the deep end on the construction side. I went off the deep end on like, okay, there's got to be podcasts on how to be a good landlord. So then I found Bigger Pockets. And then, so I read the Managing Rental Properties book like a Bible. I have it all highlighted and color coded. And I made my own like 30 something documents, all custom for my property management. And then through Bigger Pockets, we learned about Tom Wheelwright's wealthability. So we did like tax strategizing. So we did his mentorship. And then we learned about Pace Morby, and then we joined Sub 2. And then it's just kind of gone from there on mentorship. So there's a lot of reinvesting in ourselves to kind of build that, whatever you want to call it, build that machine, I guess, within ourselves. And so then our journeys just kind of spread out because our market is so local. We started with just a rental property, and then that became a short-term rental with long-term rentals. And then we did some volunteer work for my church and my family with a rental cabin that we put in online on Airbnb. And then the house that our church owns, the parsonage, we did a 4-month flip, and now I manage that as a rental. So I became a landlord and a property manager for short-term rentals. And then we got into Sub 2 and started learning about creative finance. And then we had our first flip opportunity. And it was such a deep discount. It's like, well, the numbers work. Let's try. Clint actually never even saw that house until we already owned it.
Those are the best. Which that hasn't been the last time either.
Yeah, this is not our first one that I've bought without his seeing even pictures, I think. I don't know. He's very trusting.
And Jesse's like, babe, just trust me. And then once it's closed, she's like, okay, now can you help?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So flips led to what else?
I mean, that was the path.
Yeah. Okay. After the flip, that's when we joined Owners Club.
Right.
And then the path took another jump on steroids. And now it's renovating, or revitalizing my hometown Knippa through fixing up the houses, whether we're going to keep them or sell them. And also we did a little side jog into co-living and invested in another mentorship to choose an affordable housing route in investments, but in more metropolitan markets, not just Knippa. Kind of diversified.
I want to unpack a couple things, because what you just said in that explanation of what you're doing, you hit on so many things that we talk about a lot here.
Yeah.
And I think they're so important. First, can you give just some context? How big is Knippa, and what is your average price for your home? Just for audience understanding where you're at and what you're looking at.
I think the population's about 750, but it's kind of an odd
people.
750.
Okay, so is that growing or waning? Right now, over the last 10-ish years, what are they projecting?
I think it's pretty steady.
Static. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
Perfect.
think the town really wants to expand much, so I think it kinda stays stays around that, and the school is growing, though. The school when I went was around 297 students, and I think they're almost to 400 now, but they're still trying to stay a 1A school, like the smallest category.
Got it. I mean,
Yeah.
400 students in a town with 750 people, that's impressive.
People are either having a lot of kids or you get a lot of students from outside of Knippa.
Yeah, there's a wait list for because it's such an excellent school, there's a wait list for parents who live out of the school district to get their kids into Knippa.
Okay, I get questions about that I'll ask you offline that are not pertinent to this, but I'm really curious. Okay, cool. So, a small, tiny town, what, 100 homes, something like that?
I think it's about 100, yeah.
Okay, 100 single family homes in the entire town.
And then what's your like price point?
It can be all over the place. The problem is that nothing ever really gets on the market. So many things are
Right.
sold, just person to person. There's no comps in town. There's no historical information, and so it's very difficult to land on a price. And that's one of the things that we've had a problem
I
with.
feel like there may be 1 comp a year.
Right.
Got it.
That is
Maybe not even
wild.
1 comp, 1 house for sale a year.
Yeah.
But that's what I love
So
is that you're doing it in that town. And like you are the comp. You're creating
We're
all the
gonna set
comp.
our own comp for ourselves, correct.
I mean,
Absolutely.
people would probably say, like, if you can do it in Knippa, Texas, you can do it anywhere.
Absolutely.
Right. Right, exactly.
All right, I love that. So, my next question that you hit on a couple times is you said you got into mentorship programs. I love that you did that because that is not what Ingrid and I did. I wish we would have
You
early on.
should've.
We were more like we did a little tiny one. It was like $500, 3-day boot camp, not mentorship, boot camp, rich dad, poor dad style back in the day. And the thing I got out of it was they taught me how to raise my credit score or and my credit limit. So then at the end of it, I had credit to go buy their next class. Literally. I'm like, well, that's interesting, but I didn't
But,
do it.
like,
But
you're also learners and self-starters where you're,
right.
like, consuming the information yourself. So, like, at what point did you think, like, "Okay, this is worth it to go pay to be in a mentorship or mastermind or, like,
Well, and we're big
community?"
advocates now. Like we definitely
Yeah.
see the value. Obviously, we're part of Paces Group and Owners Club and other things. And so it just took us 15 years to understand that we needed to pay to be in the right room. But you guys understood it from the beginning.
yeah, I wouldn't say it was real clear in the beginning. The first thing we really paid for that was a big ticket item was the tax strategizing. And there we thought it was just going to save us that much in taxes. And so we thought, okay, well, it'll just be an offset on cost. But as we kind of progressed in there, we got so much value in such a little amount of time. Then we realized, hey, this is kind of like a cheat code, as what Pace says sometimes. And then that kind of opened our eyes to say, hey, you know what? It's easier to pay somebody to individually coach us through something. It shortens the amount of time that you need to learn whatever skill it is. And that'll just pay dividends in the future with us getting to where we're trying to go faster.
That's so
And I feel like
true.
we're constantly growing and trying to learn more. I think we both really, really enjoy education in general. So it's like we're either consuming something some way, shape, or form, but why not make it very targeted, intentional? And if it's providing the value that's worth what we're going to pay for it, and then, like you said, pay off later, it was worth investing more in ourselves. We both chose very specific careers that were investment in ourselves. So that may have been the kind of the trigger is just the life path we had each chosen individually before we even knew each other was just very much investing in ourselves.
Right. But then the reality is like, Jesse, you're the one that's going to go have kids. And so there's a decision point at some time of like, okay, now we've got these two little kids. We're getting ready to move. You know, I know you're not a pharmacist anymore, but yet you still decided to stay in business together while Clint keeps his, kind of day job, W-2 job. So what was that decision like? And did it happen naturally or did you guys actually like come together at some point and say, what are we going to do?
We regularly, like quarterly, have kind of like our own little powwow business meeting, like where are we headed? What are our goals? We're not goal setters as well as what I'm seeing y'all are. I can't wait to start watching y'all's podcast and learn from y'all on that. We need some work in that area, but we always kind of have a reassessment quarterly. And it was Clint that kind of, I think, encouraged me. I'm still a pharmacist. I've kept my certification and do my continuing education, but it made more sense for the flexible lifestyle that we wanted to have. Since we had already kind of met all of our initial goals, we still wanted to enjoy that comfortable lifestyle of getting to be there for the kids during these young years. And it made more sense for Clint to be the one to work full time. And mine was always a backup plan, like a safety net if we needed it. Anything you want to add to that? Yeah.
Good job.
I feel like there's something with what you're doing now, just as totally tangent, but this is how I roll. You guys know that.
Travis is strategizing
I'm like,
your next
oh man, you're
step.
talking. I'm like, there's something with like some cool thing in Knippa that you guys own that's called like the farm assist with an F. That's like some really cool thing.
Oh, but like
But like farm
farm.
instead of PH,
Oh
like
my
it's
gosh.
just
Brilliant.
I don't know. There's something there. There's some
My
brand that
dad,
you guys should do.
my dad was a farmer and pharmacist growing up, and I didn't quite grasp that until like high school. It's like, what? Wait, what is a pharmacist? I just assumed this whole time like they were the same thing.
That's funny.
I love
Because
that.
he never talked about work.
My grandma was a pharmacist. They owned a pharmacy in her mom or parents in Riga, Latvia, or Guyana. Riga's the capital, but Latvia, like before the war. So pharmacy, like it really is transferable across all places, even around the world. I mean, she
True.
came here and could be a pharmacist, and it's wild.
All right, one other thing that you hit on that I find fascinating, we've never talked about on this show, but it was Ingrid and I followed in the similar footsteps, as you said, you followed the Dave Ramsey method as a general statement. Ingrid and I did, and we ran because of our personalities. We also ran our own thing that was like the anti Dave Ramsey method, but we
not at the same time.
But I mean, like for our personal lives, we did, and we taught Financial Peace University at the church. And we were definitely all about it, except for real estate debt. We liked real estate debt, but we paid off our house. And then we had this big, like we sold a couple properties, paid off our house. And then we're like, what do we do? We sought out lots of advice. And then we ended up just getting a big, giant home equity line of credit on our house. We leveraged it fully so we could use it to just keep doing flips. And that really scaled us quickly. But I'm curious, now where you're at in the full-on real estate game, we use debt a lot or capital partners. Where are you on the line now with like the Dave Ramsey method as a general statement and what you're doing?
I would say that it was good for a season to teach us financial discipline. Especially before we had kids, both of us were working professionals, made a lot of money. It gave us kind of like a path, guidelines of how to, you know, get on the right path, so to speak. I think, once you are financially disciplined, you know the ins and outs of your personal finances, then that gives you the knowledge to say, hey, you know what? Asset-backed debt is okay.
Well, especially if that asset is paying for that debt.
Correct.
That was like a game changer. It's
Right.
like, oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely, we want to start doing this. And watching all that, we were putting extra into our retirement. Like we had just a separate mutual fund that we were just pouring extra income into for maybe we'll do something with this one day.
Right.
Or maybe we'll retire and live even happier, more, we don't really spend a lot of money, but I think watching our investments and seeing their growth, but seeing what real estate can do with all of the extra benefits of like appreciation, depreciation, all those things was even more interesting to us. And so it's just like taking investing to the next level. We were already investing in, mutual funds, but it was kind of a more complex but more upside investment strategy and something that we have more control over. We like that too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So now, I mean, your life looks similar to ours, obviously, kids around the same age. And We don't have a farm, but you are running your business together, obviously parenting together, you're married. Your portfolio is similar. So, a couple rentals over here, a couple flips over here. We're dabbling in some co-living commercial. I know like the reality of what that looks like for you guys working as like, we use the term yoked, like a yoke as a work tool. But what is joining you together? Like what is it that you guys practice regularly? A cadence you have that ensures that you guys can do all that like together.
It's different because we live kind of two separate phases of our lives. When I'm gone at work, I probably work half the year and I'm gone away. And she's basically a single mother trying to keep the farm going and doing all the real estate stuff. And I try to facilitate that as much as I can when I'm at work, but that's not always possible. And then we have the other season of our life whenever I'm here, plugged in, helping. And so it's basically the tale of two cities, it's two different worlds.
That is so true. Yes. I go into two separate modes. The moment he walks out the door, I like start furiously cleaning the house, getting it the way I like it because it'll stay that way until he gets home. We go onto a certain schedule with the kids. They know, like, we're also kind of like in survival mode. They need to step it up and help mom more. Um, and he does help. I still, he has his strengths that I don't have. He's the analytical type, so he does all the computer work, any kind of deal analysis, helping with deal structuring, the acquisition side of things, contractual paperwork, those things. He's good at that. He can do that in his sleep. So he's able to do some of those supporting roles when he's away at work. Whereas I'm more the people relations, the face in front of the business that talks to people, builds the relationships, talks to the sellers, the realtors. Um, and then with the fix and flip, I pretty much run the fix and flip business, but Clint is still the brains behind the engineering construction side of things, making sure that the building performs structurally and efficiently. And so I'll consult him and then I just pass on that education to our operations manager. So I'm kind of the go-between with that, but then I have, the woman side of things where I see things that are aesthetic. The house needs to look like this. It needs to give this emotion when people walk into it, those kind of things. So we have our different strengths and it works well because he's the one that leaves. He can still do some of the things that he's stronger at away at work. Yeah. But when he's home, we try to focus more on like quality of life, try to spend more time with the kids. We spend more time. That's when we do our traveling, working on the farm together as a family, playing board games with the kids. Like life kind of slows down a little bit when he's home. If the real estate business can allow it.
Right.
So yeah, our whole life, we've been married 15 years. It's always been like this. We just got to go with the ride and know that we're always flexible. Dates don't really mean much to us. We'll celebrate Christmas or birthdays or anniversaries or whatever they are when he's home. We just have always been able to work, go with the flow.
I love that.
I love that too. That's cool you just make it work. That's
Yeah.
that's like the definition of being yoked is like even when you're not together, it's like you guys know your roles. And
Mhm.
it seems like when you're at work, like work ramps up for you, Jesse. It's like, all right, both gas pedals are being pushed, different
Mhm.
spots, but we both agree and are aligned in this vision of this is what we're doing,
Right.
Yes.
which is
And
super
I would
cool.
say Clint has really been the driving force for me. He has always been so encouraging. I probably would never have pursued any of the things I've pursued in real estate had I not had him backing me and encouraging me and knowing we can do it. And he sees the other side of the spectrum or the other side of the journey. He he very much keeps me going and gives me that encouragement because I'll get really down in the weeds with all the bookkeeping and the expenses and the writing the checks and the payroll and all those things. And he'll pull my head up and be like, no, look down there. Like this is the picture. This is the vision. Stay focused. You've got this. And like there was the same thing with joining Owners Club, with joining Sub 2, with um doing the fix and flip. Like all the decisions, I don't ever make a decision without him, but he's always the one that greases the wheels and says, "Let's do it. We can do it," you know?
I
So
love that.
we're very much yoked in that sense.
Ugh. Okay, so what's next? Like, what are your next big projects? The vision for Knippa and everything you guys have going there. Like, when you do look down that road, like, cast a vision kind of for the audience and us. Like, what are the Savoys doing next?
Well, so we have the co-living journey, and we're hoping that will be one of our main sources of income for the real estate side, because what we're doing in Knippa is more of a passion project, a sentimental project. I'm hoping it'll become have better rewards financially later, but the rewards it has in so many other aspects are um, unmeasurable. You know, what it does for the town, the people it brings into the town, the jobs that we're able to support with doing each of these, the neighborhoods, the building pride in the community. And then I did the exercise of asking yourself why 7 times after the Squat Up Summit on the flight. I went through the exercise of writing it all down, and it was like, why do I want to fix up Knippa? It's like, well, because I want people to see what it used to be when I was a kid. I grew up in town. I didn't grow up here on the farm. My parents had built a home in Knippa. We got to ride our bikes everywhere. You could go anywhere. It was like being at Cheers. I'd walk into the grocery store and say, "I want this Snickers. Charge it to my dad," and I'd leave. It was so lovely. It was a wonderful town to grow up in. And so then it was like, okay, well, why do you want people to see what it used to be? And I was like, well, because I want good families to move here. It's like, okay, why do you want good families to move here? And I was like, well, I want people to help serve in this town and build this town and make it better and have community, join the churches, all those things. And it's like, okay, well, why do you want that? And long story short, ultimately, it came right down to our kids, and it helped me give this clarity and this visions. I want this to be my kids' home base, their hometown that they have pride in, that they want to come back, they want to work here, they want to build their families here. We have a 100-year-old family farm that goes to them and my brother's kids. And I want, a lot of people can be flexible and be like, oh, we'll move wherever our kids go, and that's where we'll retire. That's not as much of an option for us. I mean, it can be, right? We all know where we're heading when it's all said and done. We want to go to heaven. But here we have been blessed with this beautiful farm that our families have worked generations to take care of and hold on to. And I want it to be something my kids want to come back to. And not just want to come back to, get the joy that I get living out here. As they say, like building your magic. For me, building my magic is being on this farm, working this farm. On the weekends, we spend time with my brother and his wife and kids, my dad, aunts, uncles, sisters. We all come and we'll fix a section of the fence or something, and we'll listen to music and just fellowship while working on the farm. We just branded another set of cattle this past weekend. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I think there's so much to say for that joy people get. You look at so many entrepreneurs who, once they've made it, they end up buying a little farm and they end up getting animals. And that's, I feel like rooted, we all want to do that at some point in our lives if we're blessed and able. And so we already have this life set up for our kids, and I want that, but we need the town to also head in that direction, that it's going to be a place that people want to continue coming to. Sorry. I get
I'm
really
moving.
excited talking
I just
about
had the vision. I'm
it.
like, let's go brand some
I know.
cattle.
I'm like, that sounds amazing. I get to drive around on a tractor, fix a fence, and put a hot iron against some leather. It sounds
Yeah.
amazing. I love that. I have the same dream. Maybe not the same. I have a dream of having property. I think it's more rooted in me as well, growing up in Oklahoma,
Yeah,
of like, just that longing desire.
for space.
Tangent, though, I feel like they just described the story of the Mexican fisherman.
Yes, I
And,
was just thinking that. I'm like,
oh my
this is
gosh.
the parable of the Mexican fisherman.
Do you know that
guys,
story?
No,
I think I might,
I
but
don't
I'm
think
not
I do.
sure.
You need to go look it up. I'll send it to you after this. You're living it. And it's
Yep.
super cool and inspiring that you guys are. It's like this calling that you have on your life, and you're fired up, and you have this burning desire. We just talked about that on our last episode about burning desire, and like
Yeah,
a
versus a
burning
wish.
desire doesn't go out. It When things change and when things get hard, your life bends to what your burning desire is,
Hmm.
and you are living that. It's so cool.
I love it.
I love it too. It's awesome.
Well, what else should
It's so
people
true.
know? Go
Oh,
ahead.
hang on. Let me say one more thing because I'm just kind of having this epiphany right now. I'm very much a verbal processor. Well, it's funny that we're saying all this when we had a little bit of a difference in our visions when after I heard about the book Vivid Vision that you talked about, and I read it and I was like, we need to get our vision. And I was really pushing this thing. And if he doesn't have the same education as I have, like if we're not reading the same book at the same time, it's very hard to like project my thoughts onto him. And
For
his
sure.
vision was always about the kids. He wanted to set up this real estate business so our kids had jobs that they could move back here and still have that, something to do. And mine was always about Knippa. My vision is Knippa, fixing up Knippa. And then when I went through those 7 questions of why, now that I'm saying it all out loud, fixing up Knippa was also for our kids. We really ultimately have alignment in our vision. It just kind of is, I'm just now realizing it, honestly.
Yeah, but you know what? They're running, like think of it as like a train track. Like it's not like a T in the road, like they cross. Your visions don't cross. They are like this and they just run like this. Like it's you two together that help them go like this. Like
Right.
Right.
that, I mean, you can see it clear as day when you guys describe it to somebody else,
Right.
which is I'm like, it's the same vision.
Like, oh yeah, those align very well. They aren't
Mhm.
the same, but they're aligned, which is super cool.
I love it.
That's awesome. And I think we should shout out Dean Graziosi for that amazing like
Oh
7 levels
yeah.
of why, because it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you inspired me to like go. I want to go do it again. And
I
I actually
know.
I mean, of course, in the process of listening to him, I'm thinking about. It, I'm like, oh, that's interesting, but I didn't take away and actually go do it. Like write it out, take time, and write it out.
Yeah, I
And
didn't write it. I need
there's
to
value
write
in
it.
that.
Yeah, that is. Well, in closing, like how do people find you? How do they if they're, listening to this and they're in a small town in the South and, also are trying to revitalize their town, like how can they get a hold of you? How do they follow along in your journey? Tell us how to reach the Savoys.
So I've been documenting our journey since 2019, since we started on this farmhouse. And my hair was super long. Lots changed in the last 7 years, but we have just on Facebook and Instagram Jesse Savoy, Jesse like a boy, and so you can always. I'm very good about all of our flips and all of our projects. I document and because our being from a small town, everybody wants to know what's going on. So
Oh, yeah.
it was very much for everyone else. And now with what we're doing in the revitalizing my hometown, and we're learning how people can benefit from working with us. And so now I'm doing capital raising, and instead of always just borrowing from the local banks, which we do, we have a great relationship with our local bank. But now people in the town are investing in our projects of fixing up the town. So it's really beautiful, and I get really excited talking about this too. And I won't, but it's really beautiful, the idea of the people who grew up here and went, like I said, it's an excellent school. They've gone out and become really successful professionals, but then they could reinvest some of their money into one of the projects to fix up one of the town. I pay them a fixed interest, so their money is working for them, but on something that they feel so good about and their passion of fixing up their hometown. Because I know we all want to see Knippa fixed up. And so that's been a really gratifying thing is raising capital for the projects that then the money stays local. It's just it has so many layers to it. So anyway, that's I think what we're looking for most now is people who are interested in investing. And then that can also go with people who want to learn how to revitalize their hometown and kind of see the trajectory. They can earn while they learn. They can partner on a deal, and then we can do the reporting and show them the steps, my timeline, and how I'm trying to get super efficient with how I do my flips, how I run it with my operations and everything. So I love to talk about this stuff, obviously. Yeah, those are the best ways to contact us. Or we have a website, jessesavoy.com. There's links in there with our buy box for co-living, with how to invest with us, and just some information about what we're doing.
I love
Clint,
it.
your website is imwithjesse.com.
Clint the arm candy. No.
ClintTheArmCandy.com.
No, Clint's in the background making the cogs work.
I love it.
Oh, thank you, you guys. We're so excited to see you in San Antonio next month. That'll be super fun.
It'll be fun.
And do you want to close us?
Yeah. But you can find me on all the socials at the Travis Hall, and you are on Instagram at the Ingrid Hall.
Yep.
You can find our website, partnerwithnorth.com.
And we'll link all of Jesse and Clint's stuff in the show notes. So check out that below. And then be sure to follow along, and subscribe. We'll drop a new episode each week.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of The Yoke Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it.
And as always, be sure to subscribe, and follow along as we drop a new episode each week.